Can your hobbies actually help in your business life? I'm here to say yes. In particular, this episode's about how improv can be used for better business practices. Welcome back to Neuroconversion Leadership. I'm Jeremy Doran, and I love to help people connect with others who think, work, and see the world differently. If you read my blog or articles, you'll know that I recently auditioned for a house team of a new improv season. It's always nervous-making, so I spent some time thinking about improv. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And listening to actual podcasts about improv. And of course, because I'm always talking about leadership and communication, specifically the way different personality traits can affect communication, I started thinking about how personality traits can affect improv and started writing articles about it. Yes, I'm kind of a nerd. So, as not to keep you wondering, I did make a house team, and I'm very excited about this season. It's a great team, great players, great coach, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I also auditioned for the musical improv team, which was a whole new level of scary. What you do is you're doing a scene. When you say something interesting, the musician will start playing his guitar, and you need to make up a song on the spot that matches the tune he's playing. My topic was how to get enough votes to become the sheriff. As the music started, I thought, I cannot do this. But sure enough, a second or two later, I just started. It was so much fun, so high stress. Ultimately, they put me on a traditional team, which I'm guessing is best for everyone involved. When I was thinking about improv, I started by thinking about the Myers-Briggs dimensions. The first one is introversion and extroversion. If you have been listening, you know that I'm about as far on the introversion scale as a person can be. And to be clear, those numbers don't necessarily assess how introverted a person is. It really just shows, if you took the assessment a whole bunch of times, how often you would get the same overall results. In my case, it does seem to reflect the level of my preference as well. And introversion is not about being shy. Extroversion is not about being outgoing. It's really about where you get your energy. Introverts get energy from within their own minds, enjoying the self-reflection, playing with ideas. Extroverts get their energy from the outer world, interacting with people and all of the action around them. If it were just about being shy, I would probably never do improv. Interacting with a bunch of people while also being watched by an audience would be pretty overwhelming. But coincidentally, I've noticed that about half the people I do improv with tend towards introversion. Not quite as much as I do, but still, that's pretty impressive. And on that note, many performers, and especially stand-up comedians, are introverted. Robert De Niro is notoriously private. As over-the-top as she is, Amy Schumer has declared herself to be introverted. And it may not surprise you, but Aubrey Plaza, whom you may know from Parks and Rec, is very introverted. But she got her start by doing very high-level improv at New York's Upright Citizens Brigade. So in business, introverted people who enjoy the inner world like to have a thought completely worked through before they share it. They often don't speak in meetings because when a question's asked, they're thinking about their answer until they feel confident enough to share it. By the time they are, the topic is often changed and they don't end up getting to share. Extroverted people like to talk things out. They'll be thinking about their answer while they're talking about it and are likely to feel confident about their answers when they're done talking. For introverts, they need to be confident about their answers before they start talking. And by the way, if you're running meetings, if you're going to be asking for feedback, my recommendation is letting everybody know ahead of time what feedback you're going to be seeking. At first, I thought this was good for introverts so that they had a chance to work through their thoughts in their mind and they'd be ready to share. The added benefit I found is that it's just as beneficial for extroverts because they get a chance to go and talk with their friends and coworkers about their ideas before the meeting starts. That way, when the meeting begins, introverts are ready to share right away, and the extroverts are ready to share their final answer in a concise and crystallized way. I've got a lot of other thoughts on how to make meetings more productive and more pleasant. If you're finding that your meetings aren't as productive as they should be and people are complaining that they're going to too many meetings and they last too long, reach out. I'd be happy to help making meetings something people are actually happy they attended. So what does it mean in improv? As an introvert, I like to have my thoughts complete before talking about them. On an improv stage, that simply doesn't work. The crowd gives you a suggestion. It's a surprise for everyone on the team, but the stage can't just stay empty until someone has a fully fledged idea. Someone needs to walk out on the stage, and that person's probably not going to have a clear thought of what they want the scene to be. For a while, I would get a kernel of a thought and one foot would start moving forward. But then I wasn't sure about it, I would hesitate, and I wouldn't go out there. There's a saying in improv, follow your feet. And what that means is if your foot started moving, that's enough to go on. Follow your feet. Sometimes all I will have is a physical movement, and I will be willing to follow my feet now. I'll walk like my back hurts, or I'll bounce on the stage like I'm super excited about something. Sometimes I can figure out more about my character as the movement progresses. Sometimes the other person on the stage gifts me with a character or a trait or a history, and once they do that, everything becomes clear and away we go. Following my feet without a complete thought is still a challenge for me, often due to the introversion characteristics I talked about. But there are a few benefits to being introverted during improv. I'm okay with silence. So when I walk out on the stage with just a sore back, I'm perfectly comfortable moving around the stage, pretending to do something like pour a cup of coffee and not actually say anything and do it in total silence. To me, silence is fine. And it gives myself and my teammates a chance to see what's happening and let something come up organically. Two other benefits that introverted people have is our tendency to listen closely and observe others. Observation is a critical skill in improv. If another person has given themselves a physical character trait, sometimes it can be easy to miss it or to see it, but not pay close enough attention to understand what they're actually trying to convey. Listening is also super important. We tend to let others get their complete thoughts out and pause, making sure they're done before we start talking. When people talk over each other on a stage, it can get very confusing for both the audience and the people on the stage. It makes it harder to know which comment to react to, and it makes it harder for the audience to know which comment they should have listened to. Comfort with silence, listening closely, and careful observation are traits that introverted people have and benefits them on the improv stage. The benefits extroverted people have is that they like to think while they talk. What a benefit. I've seen very talented and extroverted improvers start a sentence not even knowing how the sentence was going to end, never mind the direction the scene was going to take. Extroverted people are also more able to interact with others on a stage in a comfortable, lifelike manner. I say lifelike, it's the way people would on a TV show. Not necessarily the way I would in real life, but the way people want to see real life portrayed. And the third one is that they're often more demonstrative. They tend to move around more and they tend to gesture with their hands while talking. When you're on stage, that gives a nice stage picture and it shows emotions and it makes them obvious for the audience to see. Talking before a thought's complete, natural and engaging conversation, and larger gestures are great benefits for the extroverts who are doing improv, but it's not all smooth sailing for them. They have challenges too. Their challenges can be that they're less comfortable with that silence. So they may start talking before a scene has had a chance to fully solidify in silence. They're going to be more likely to talk over other people, and they're less likely to observe the subtle movements and the gestures. Now, keep in mind, as I often say, introversion and extroversion are simply preferences. They don't define us. It's not that I can't start talking without a complete thought, and it's not that extroverts can't handle silence and wait before speaking, or not speak at all. The more practice we have flexing over to our non-dominant tendency, the better we tend to get at it. And that is one reason why I think improv is a great practice for anyone and everyone, especially in business. For introverted people like me, it helps us to immediately respond to unexpected questions or changes of direction. If I'm doing a talk to a group of executives and they ask an unexpected question or suddenly decide they want to change topics midway through the meeting, I'm now much more comfortable being able to immediately respond without looking like a deer in the headlights for a couple of seconds while thinking of my response. For extroverted people, developing the ability to ask more questions and then spend as long as necessary in silence waiting for the answer is an incredibly valuable leadership skill. So I recommend everyone in business take an improv class or a workshop. There are even people who go into your business and do a workshop on business skills through the use of improv. But I recognize many people are terrified of the idea of doing improv. So if you're not going to take a class or a workshop, observe in yourself and others the qualities that we talked about here. If one of the challenges I mentioned resonates with you, name it and write it down someplace where you're going to see it often. It'll be a good reminder for you to work on that characteristic when you're interacting with other people. Now, this is only one dimension of the Myers-Briggs, but all dimensions have an effect on improv as well as business. Next week's episode is going to be an interview on leading cross-functional teams, but going forward, I will work in solo episodes on the other dimensions of the Myers-Briggs. As a fun bonus, one of my future interviews is with a neurodivergent improv coach, and I can't wait to hear her opinions.